tremendous looking trophy.
Welcome to one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name is Zumblight, and joining me, as always, Ashley Holby.
Hey, John, excited to be here. I'm very proud. You're going to be very proud because I got my fastest ever platinum today.
I also got my fastest. What was yours?
Mine was an incredible 2 seconds.
Fuck, yours was faster than mine, I think. Mine was 3 seconds, according to PSN profiles. So
Yeah, according to PSN profiles.
if you don't know what we're talking about, Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered has now added the ability for you to transfer your save file from the original game, and it does pop all the trophies, so you can get a free platinum if you have that.
Thanks, Insomniac.
Thanks, Insomniac. I will say, let's talk about this first. This is a weird process. So I saw this news go up last night. Push Square, someone was like published an article like, "Hey, you can do this now." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, sounds awesome." So I had to find my disc for Marvel Spider-Man PS4, right? So then I put that disc into my PS5, installed the game, then went to Cloud Saves, downloaded my save file, booted up the game, then within the game, re-uploaded that save file to the cloud because you need to do it through the game for it to work. Then went out, clicked on the 3 little dots, switched to the remastered version, booted that up, and then downloaded the save file. I found it ridiculous that I downloaded a cloud save just to re-upload it to the cloud just to pop all these trophies. But yeah, nonetheless, you can now do that. You can get a quote unquote free, whatever you want to call it, platinum.
Assuming you already got the platinum.
Assuming you already got the platinum, you can grab it free. I have no problem doing this because, as I've said many times, if I do a replay, I'm doing my New Game Plus Ultimate difficulty or whatever.
See,
whatever it's called.
Here's the thing: there's the remastered trophies that you need to get on top of that, though.
Yeah, so I've already got 2 of them. The 2 I didn't have were. Which I googled, and apparently, even if you've done the requirements, they just won't pop anyway. So one of them's for getting 100 people combo, and I'm like, I would have done that playing it easily.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have. Yeah.
So I could probably do that again. And then the other one was for clearing a hideout without taking any damage. So that's the 2 from the remastered list I don't have. The other 2 I already had for whatever they were. I think there was something to do with maxing out a
max out one
benchmark,
max out all gadgets, and achieve ultimate on Taskmaster challenge.
I got all 3 of those.
See those, but I feel like those last 2 will be very difficult to do on Ultimate Victory. Difficulty.
Yeah. Well, no.
So unless you do your playthrough, pop the Ultimate trophy, and then change difficulty too.
But why can't you just load up your current save, switch it to friendly difficulty, go replay the Ultimate Taskmaster challenge or whatever, because you can replay them, right?
Yeah.
They're replayable. Yeah, so why don't you just load up your current save and switch it to the easiest difficulty because you can change it, and then go try to do these things. In fact, if I was trying to do a 100-hit combo or clear a hideout without taking any damage, I would probably just load into my completed save file. Because you can replay hideouts, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So I would just do that, and I would just... My New Game Plus hardest difficulty would just solely be focused on just beat the game. Or maybe I'll just do that first and try and get the 100 hits as I go. Don't know, knock some things out. Either way, that was cool. Popped all DLC trophies as well. There you go. I think I was like 97% or something. All of it. So that's good to know. I couldn't remember maxing out a benchmark, but there you go.
Must have.
So that's great. Yep, platinum. Welcome to the show. Can't remember what we're talking about. Let's continue talking about some games because that's where we're at basically. Anyway, nice segue. Let's continue talking.
What's happening in the show?
What's happening in the show? Fuck it. We're talking about news. We're talking about games. We're talking about more PlayStation 5
No trophies
games.
this week.
No.
Just your Spider-Man platinum. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's all we're talking about.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, no. So, of a platinum to talk about, let's get into this one. So, I got the platinum for Demon's Souls in the past week. Now, I've been saving the interesting story for this one. I haven't given this away anywhere else. I was saving it exclusive for this show because
thank God.
I have I'm a good podcast host. I save things, put them in little boxes for different areas. Right, so let's break it down this way. Between last week's episode, I hadn't beat the game yet. So I beat the game, and I beat the game. I found for people who played it, here's my top 3 hardest bosses that would make this game hard. Because I think most of the bosses are pretty easy. like, I'm not saying that as a get good. I actually think like a lot of the bosses are just generally video game, not actually that hard. And this comes down to them more being about puzzles than being like tight reflexes. The couple that require quick reflexes and dodging are bullshit. So basically the third boss in the game, which is called like Fire Lurker or Fire something like that, that thing fucking sucks. The last boss in the game, King Alliant or something like that, he fucking sucks. And then my top three rounds out with I can't remember what their name, but it's in the Tower of Latria level. It's the second boss in that stage. It's where you fight these two fucking demon things that have like snake tails, and you're on a bridge and they'll just dive at you from out of nowhere. And most of the time you'll die to them knocking you off the edge than actually killing you. So I hated that because I love just being killed by falling off ledges and not actually taking damage. Anyway,
who doesn't?
That's great. So Demon Souls, all up, fantastic game. Never played it before, so I had a great time. So I finished it once. And I had that thought, like I'm looking at the trophy list, I'm going, this doesn't seem that hard. Like, because I to put into context, I've got the Bloodborne plat, so I feel like I have a level of, like I've done that. So I'm looking at this going, this doesn't look hard. This looks easier than the Bloodborne's plat. Like I've already done the big hurdle of beating the game, and I know I can beat the game, so we're good to go. So to get the plat, you basically have to do. You have to do 2 playthroughs if you know what you're doing, because basically you have to get, each time you beat a boss, you get its soul, and they're like name souls, like Yellow Demon Soul or Dragon Demon Soul or something, and you need those to craft certain spells and miracles, and then you also need to find all the rings in the game. So some of those Demon Souls you need multiple of to get spells and miracles, so if you plan accordingly, you can like cheese your save by like saving up all of the ones you need, buy all of the miracles, like we'll back up your save to the cloud, buy all the miracles, download your old save, buy all the spells. So if anyone out there is like, hey, I want to get the Demon Souls Platinum, plan better than I did, go in knowing you want to do it. Don't spend any souls. And then when you reach a point, don't buy any miracles, don't buy any spells that use any of those things, and then you would upload and download your save because you can do that. You can't back up to a USB anymore. Some fucking reason, but you can still upload it to PS Plus and then re-download it, of course. Right, so I fucked up. So I did 2 playthroughs, beat the game a second time, and then I was like, fuck. I had wasted some of my special Demon Souls on upgrading a weapon because I was struggling to beat that stupid fucking Flame Lurker cunt. I was struggling to beat him on my New Game Plus run, so I upgraded a weapon to make like a super powerful wand because I was just going to spam him with spells, which is really the easiest way to beat him because he sucks. Anyway, so I wasted a spell and I was like, fuck. Anyway, so I start my third playthrough. I'm looking for him. This is the special story I've been saving, right? This is great. Now, I may leave people in 2 places. Some people may hate me at the end of stories. Some of us may not. I don't know because I stumbled across something quite special. So there's an item in the game called a gold coin. And I was like, I had like 10 nearly at this stage. And I think I got a bunch from like, there's these fat enemies, fat generals, fat commanders or something I think they're called in the game. And at one stage I was farming them to get like health items because every time he dropped like a health item. So I'd run up, kill him, run back, reload back to the level. And like I was just farming health items. Pretty normal thing to do if you're going to face a boss or something. Anyway, I got a bunch of coins off him somehow. I was like, what the fuck does this thing do? So anyway, I was like, maybe it like doubles my XP or something like that and I kill it or whatever. Anyway, so I popped it and then I was like fucking around. It didn't work. I popped another one. I was like, whatever. Anyway, so I go back to the hub world, the Nexus, and I click on the character that you need to click on to use your souls to upgrade. And next second, the game glitched the fuck out and my luck started just shooting up. Like just all by itself, like it was shooting up. Like my luck was up into the thousands. And I'm like,
cool.
What? Like, what the fuck? I was like, this is not right. Like, this cannot be what this coin's actually for. This has to be a glitch. So, of course, I Google it then. And I stumble across there's one. So, at the time, I've seen IGN wrote a guide on how to do this because I stumbled across, this is great. I don't think in my life I've ever stumbled across a glitch by myself without like knowing about it and like wanting to use it or seeking it out. This is the first time I think I've ever stumbled across a glitch just on my own accord. It was like fucking weird. So I Google at the time, I find a Reddit thread where people are trying to keep it hush-hush. There was like a few people in it who'd figured it out. And people in that thread were saying like, don't, like we're trying to keep it hush so they don't patch it. They want to patch it. A patch came out the next day. I'm pretty sure Gun and Streamers fix this. But then I was like, what the fuck does this luck shit even do? Like, how's it help me? And looking for the Reddit thread, I find someone that goes, hey, if you get this sword and this item, you can craft a sword which does magic and physical based damage based on your luck. Which means that if you get this glitch, you can basically one or several shot people in the game. And I was like, I need to do another half a playthrough at this stage to get these demon souls. Yes, I will use this glitch to my advantage right at this stage. So I go make the sword. Now, the problem I had with the sword was at the time, I didn't have actually the high enough dexterity to hold the sword appropriately. So, which basically means like if you use a weapon in the game that you don't have the proper stats for, like say you pick up like a massive broadsword and it says, hey, you don't have the stats for it, you'll hit an enemy with it and it'll do like 1 damage, which means it's doing like 1% of its potential. So I'm like, well, if my luck's so high that it's supposed to one-shot enemies, will it still kind of work? And it was doing 2,000 something damage, which means most bosses in the game I could kill in a couple shots. And that was with it doing like a tiny % of its full damage. I'm like, okay, I can still make this work. So I did that for half a playthrough, and that's how I kind of cheated or whatever my way for my half a playthrough needed to get the rest of the demon souls I needed. And I don't feel dirty about that at all because fuck you, I beat the game properly twice. And then I did cheese it to get the last couple demon souls. So out there, if anyone's watching, listening, whatever, and you're like, hey, I want the demon souls partner. If you don't want to beat the game properly and you want to get if you just want to figure out and look up how to do this cheese, the one problem with it is this. You can't do it super early. And in fact, you have to beat that boss I think is actually the hardest in the game to do it. So there is like a level of there is like a gateway of entry to it because you need to beat. So the first boss in the game you need to beat to get access to Nexus. So you need to beat that. The second boss, if you're doing them in the kind of order that I feel like most people do it, the second boss is a spider thing, and you need to beat that to unlock the guy who will build your weapons. And then the third boss, the flame lurker thing or whatever, you need that thing's soul to create this luck-based weapon. So you have to beat 3 bosses. But if you want to cheese it, more power to you, guys. I'm happy I stumbled across it because it made that last half of playthrough a fucking breeze. I was just walking around, and I was like, fucking, yeah. The only problem was that it meant it glitched out the game, and because it glitched out your luck, it glitched out you to like the level cap. So you suddenly went to like level 999 or something like that, which meant that any souls you got, you couldn't upgrade any further because you was already at the max level, which did mean as I continued play through the half a playthrough or my third playthrough, it means I wasn't upgrading any of my like defense or HP, which meant that as I did get up to those last couple bosses, souls I need, they would still one-shot me, which meant it was like a nice game of if I can dodge your attack and hit you before you can hit me, like it's literally whoever hits one first will win. So I'm like, if I could dodge and parry, I was good. If they hit me, I was like, fuck, whatever. But next time, all I need is one shot, dude. Like, I'll beat you. So that's my funny Demon Souls story. I thought it was quite interesting because, as I said, like, I don't think I've ever stumbled across a glitch prior to knowing about it. It was just really weird. It was a first for my game experience. And, if you want to get out there and be like, well, you didn't end the platinum appropriately, you didn't end it yourself. Like, I don't give a fuck because if I hadn't have done it that way, I would have cheesed it with the save state if I'd done it properly. Like either way, I probably would have cheated somewhat to get the platinum, because I think to get if you want to do the platinum properly, you would have to do 3.5 playthroughs, I think. Like if you don't want to like abuse save states or anything like that. And I was like, no, thank you. So yeah, if you want to do it, do the save file thing or fucking look up how to do this glitch. I don't know. But that was my funny Demon Souls story. Great game though. It was fun. I will say, running around when you can one-shot everything, it does 100% make the game rather boring. Like, obviously to a degree, it's like, there's no challenge. It's just, I mean, whatever works. If you want to do that for the whole game, go for gold. Whatever. I don't get to feel too dirty about it because I beat the game. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, you already beat it like normally.
Yeah, I beat it normally, and then I just used it. So I was like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. I don't feel zero.
You didn't seek it out either.
No, that's the best part. I was like, I don't feel bad about this because I glitched myself by accident. That was so weird. But it was so funny because when I found that Reddit thread, everyone else was saying similar things. They were like, I like randomly, like other people doing similar thing of just like, what the fuck does this coin do? And just like accidentally walked into it the same way I did. I don't know what the coin's in the game for, though. That's something. No, you need it. There's a bird, there's a tree in the game, right? I had to look this up. I didn't know how the fuck this. To get the 30 rings in the game you need for a trophy, one of them, you have to walk up to this tree and this bird will be like, oh, shiny, I like shiny things. And if you drop the gold coin there and then like quit the game and load back in, it'll have like changed it for one of the rings you need. And I think that's the sole purpose of the ring. But also the fact that when you use it, it must increase your luck somewhat on the back end. And then, or else why would I don't understand how the game would glitch out. Like, I feel like it must increase your luck, like maybe by a percentage for a short period of time. And then for some reason, if you enter the level up screen while you have that effect on in the background, obviously the game glitched the fuck out. So, but the funniest thing is that I assume they've patched this by now because it's majorly game breaking. But if anyone ever wants to do it, because the game shipped with this bug on the disc, if you ever want to do it, if you want to cheese the entire game, you can obviously just play the game without ever installing the patch, or just unplug your console from the internet and go for gold. So that's quite funny. Oh yeah, my name is Mayo too. Hey, yeah, better bring that. So it's a platty plat episode. So my name is Mayo 2 dropped on what night was it? Friday night. Yeah. Or no, I think it dropped on Thursday night, but I brought it on Friday after we finished recording The Mandalorian, which you should go watch if you're not already.
Was it?
Yeah. Was it after that? No? It was the two of us.
Recorded What Do You Want to Watch?
Okay. What do you want to watch? Okay.
On Wednesday, yeah.
So, recorded What Do You Want to Watch? We should go watch or listen to it.
Go check.
Go check
you can
out
also check out The Mandalorians.
Yeah, whatever. And then we're on like Discord, and I brought it as it was playing after we finished rapping, and then you got to witness me earn all of the My Name is Mayo 2 trophies, which took, I don't know, it took like 40 to 50 minutes, I feel, to get them all. Like, a little bit too long for a mayonnaise tapping game. But yeah, if you want a super easy platinum, My Name is Mayo 1 is also one, and My Name is Mayo 2 is just as easy. All you got to do, I didn't even look up a guide because you don't need one. All you got to do is tap X or the touchpad button, and you begin tapping the mayonnaise jar. And then periodically, if you press the option or start, whatever people want to call it, on your DualSense, you have to. There's different objectives in the main menu, which add like basically a different costume to the mayonnaise jar, and then you have to put that on, and then it'll say one below it'll be like tap 200 times. Which means you got to tap 200 times with the above costume to unlock the next one, and so on and so on and so on, so forth. It takes like 50 minutes to earn. It's great. I earned that before Demon Souls, so then after I earned the Demon Souls Platinum, I was like, that more than makes up for my fucking mayonnaise earning platinum. I literally in the same week got, I think, at complete opposite ends. Like, My Name is Mayo, ultra dirty, literally a game that's made for people to spend $1.50 on or whatever they earn a platinum. And then Demon Souls, which is obviously depending on how you feel about your playing those games. The thing is with Demon Souls, it's like it's not a hard platinum as long as you're okay with the game. You know what I mean? Like within the difficulty of Demon Souls aside, and I feel the same about Bloodborne. Like, if you look past the difficulty and you're like, okay, well, I find these games, they're difficult, but I don't mind it, then the overall trophy list isn't actually particularly hard. Like, it's not harder than the overall game's difficulty is already hard. Yeah.
So you took 33 minutes, 14 seconds, according to PSVR profiles, to get that. My Name is Mayo, I think. But the interesting thing, obviously, we found out was the PlayStation takes a while to process all those trophy videos.
Yeah, that was.
I think we were sitting in Discord for another like half an hour until the Platinum one was produced.
Yeah, because I think obviously normal games saving these videos, you wouldn't be earning that many trophies in a row. But
No.
My Name is Mayo earning so many trophies in a quick succession of time. They were sitting there waiting. I'm like, I was worried it glitched out. Like, it wasn't going to have the platinum video. Because I really wanted to share that video on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't just want a screenshot. I wanted the full tapping action. You know?
Well, that was the same with the Spider-Man
Took
platinum
forever.
just before.
Yeah.
I was trying to quickly swing around the city to somewhere cool, try and get so the platinum thing would be cool, but I think
mine didn't pop up
in somewhere in the city.
Did your platinum actually pop up?
No.
Yeah.
Oh no, like I've got a screenshot. I haven't got a video.
Okay, so all my trophies, I was like swinging around the city, just fucking around as they were popping, and then they stopped showing up for a little bit, and I was like, maybe I haven't earned the platinum. Maybe there's like a new trophy that.
No, what I did, it did stop when I went into photo mode.
Okay. So I didn't do anything.
No, when I brought up the Shen menu, I think so. Then it just stopped. It could have been coincidence, but yeah.
I gave it like a good 30 seconds without no trophies. And I was like, okay, maybe it's done. Because I remember back on the PS3, like, I never wanted to risk opening the menu in case it would like glitch out and I'd miss opening a trophy or something. So I opened up the trophy list and all the trophies were there. I'm like, okay, well, I guess some of them just didn't appear on the screen, but whatever. Continuing on the games. All right, so I've been playing the Pathless. I think I'm like halfway through the game. I think I'm up to like world 3. I think there's a total of like 4 worlds. Maybe there's a final one or something like that. But click the pause menu till it has a little icons there for each world. So, it was a really cool game. I think a lot of people are gonna miss out on playing it for the price because it's like $40 or whatever it is, and a lot of people are probably just gonna go, oh, that's too expensive for this or whatever it is. But if you don't know what the Pathless is, it's like you can choose to care or not care about the story because either way the story is told to you through in a way that you can choose to not care or whatever. But you're basically playing as this character who's trying to save this island homeland it's been taken over by this like demon dude who's like turned all the animal guardians of it into darkness. And the core gameplay is literally you have to go to towers and we have to find totem, like little symbols. And then you take those to, I think there's like 3 or 4 towers in each segment of the world. And then you basically clear the towers. Then once all the towers are cleared, they'll link up and they beam together. And then you go do a boss fight against whatever creature has been turned to darkness on the island. But in a lot of ways, this game feels witnessy in that it is open world. And like you press triangle or L1 or whatever it is, and you activate a vision, and then you can see like red off in the distance, and that means either there's a tower there or there's like a puzzle that will lead you to get one of the little symbols you need to activate the towers. And the puzzles at the start of the game start rather simple. I was like, oh, this is going to be pretty easy. But as you progress further, they get a little bit more complicated, where you got to move things around in a certain way, so you can like fire an arrow and have it like bounce off several mirrors to activate a switch and all this sort of stuff. But it has like sort of, you're literally roaming around this open world. There's no creatures to kill. Like there's no like monsters, like other than the one big bad creature, which like you have to fight at the end, or if its storm approaches you, you have to like do sort of this little mini game thing where you got to sneak through it and save your eagle or something like that. But otherwise the game's like super chill. We're just solving puzzles and collecting things, and there's no world map, so you do have to. But it works because when you activate the vision thing, you'll see like a tint of red off in the distance. Then you're like, oh, okay, well there's something over there. So you head over there, or if you really get lost where you are, you just kind of find a high point and then you can look around. And it's one of those things where once you're playing the game, you get a feel for where everything is. Like you're like, oh, I know this side from the map, or like these things here. It's but no, it's pretty fun. Hoping I'll get the platinum for this as well. That'll be another one. I feel like I'm smashing these PS5 plats at the moment. I'll fucking get them all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Get them all.
The one that's annoying me is Call of Duty. Like that. There's one trophy. This is one trophy that's going to fuck me from getting plat. Anyway, so Pathless is great. You've been playing Watch Dogs. You finally played, or you had a?
Well, I transferred my file across.
Okay, so how'd that go?
The PS5 version's opened. You can play it on the PS5. It's cool. You can see reflections of puddles and shit. So you have to, like Spider-Man, you have to upload it through the cloud, through the original game. So did that. Transfer the file across. Opened up, perfectly fine. Go to my team of operatives. All their faces different.
Why?
I don't know. There's some sort of glitch or something, but all the faces on the page are different. But when you like go hover over them, the operative is the same one. It's just obviously the display picture for not all of them, but some of them are like completely different, like cross-gendered and different hair and ethnicities and everything. So it's weird. Also, I got, after recovering the agent that I got killed at one point, the special unlockable,
the spy or whatever.
The unlockable, the one that was part of the DLC, the one that I got killed on top of the Buckingham Palace.
Yep.
I recovered her at some point. Now I've got 2 of her.
Bargain.
So yeah, it's great. So yeah, hoping to play some more of that this week. But yeah, now that it's over on the PS5, it's great. Although unlike Spider-Man, trophies didn't cross over, which is disappointing. I don't know how many trophies are tied to the story campaign, which I think is the main difficulties. That and like the audio files, whether if I just pick up another audio file, it'll just go, oh, you've got 37. You only did 30 for the trophy. Let's pop it. Hopefully
you'll find out.
Like that. But otherwise, I'm going to end up with half a trophy list, which I guess doesn't matter because I've got like half a trophy list on the PS4. So.
Well, I don't know. Maybe by the time you get to the end, you'll be like, "Oh, I got nearly everything."
Maybe Ubisoft will fix it by then.
Yeah, maybe. I'm doubtful.
Let me transfer the file back and let me pop.
Is the load times everything noticeably better? Or?
I mean, obviously it's much quicker than it was on the PS4.
Yeah. Does you use any DualSense stuff or no?
Not that I've known. It's like I just loaded in, moved around a little bit. Again, looked at, because it's rainy in Britain, because it's always rainy over there.
Yeah.
It's a puddle, so yeah. You can see all the reflections and everything in there. It's cool.
Such good shit.
Gotta love that ray tracing, right?
I mean, I do. Sounds like you fucking don't appreciate it. That's fine. And then the last thing, obviously, you'll be going for the Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales Platinum soon. Already got that
yes.
Platinum. If you want to hear us talk about Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, head on over to the Arcade Couch podcast feed, or if you're watching us on YouTube, it'll be on the same channel, of course. We have a review discussion, full spoiler discussion of Miles Morales. You can find that on the Arcade Couch feed, or again, youtube.com/Explosion Network, or of course, just find it through explosionnetwork.com. All right, let's get into some news. Firstly, back to Demon's Souls. So last week, of course, we talked about how there was a mystery door. Will someone figure out how to open it? Will they, won't they? They did, of course they did. So,
of course.
Kotaku writes, a hidden door in Demon's Souls remake has been opened, and what was behind it? A way to fix the 6th Arc Stone, a vague Bloodborne connection, a hint about the next Bluepoint Games project? Nope, just a set of armor. So, yeah, behind the door, which, by the way, it was found by Soul speedrunner Distortion 2. He spent a lot of time fucking around.
Sorry, Distortion 1.
Yeah. They say he picked through every nook and cranny of Bolteria for the remake's new ceramic coins. So similar to how they did coins in Shadow of the Colossus. Again, you had to find a bunch of coins in the game. He spent hours gathering ceramic coins, at one point making an educated guess that 60 were necessary to access the secret portal. Fortunately for him, it wasn't that the case. After building up a stack of 30 coins, Distortion 2 decided to try handing them over to Sparkly the Crow, which is the crow I was talking about before. So, an NPC who trades items. And so he basically dropped 30 coins to the crow, and the crow traded them over for a key. And guess what? The key opened the door. Behind the door was a set of armor, which was the Penetrator Boss's armor set. So that is a brand new armor set that wasn't in the original game. It's a cool looking armor set. The Penetrator is like one of the later game bosses. It's a pretty cool looking knight character who has a massive sword and badass armor and stuff like that. I think a lot of people are sort of disappointed by this. This is pretty much what I would have expected because, like making jokes about like, I wonder if it's Elden Ring's release date and, like what if it hints about their next game or something like it doesn't really fit. Even in Shadow of the Colossus, all it was another weapon. Like it wasn't anything crazy. It was just another weapon just for shits and giggles that people find fun or whatever. But all in all, it's more about the journey than it was the destination. You know, like this guy spent hours and hours and hours on stream trying to figure this out, and he did all by himself. And at the end of the day, I think, like, obviously the joy of figuring that out, such an obscure thing. Like, I've never found a single one of these fucking coins. I don't even know where he's getting them. You know what I mean? Like, and he found 30. Fucking, I have no idea. People, by the way, people are still there's a couple of weird things that are happening in the game, which they link to here. So this was another thing I had happen. People on the Demon Souls Fred have been trying to figure out a bunch of random stuff, including there's weird noises that happen in the Nexus, like the hub noise. And I had it happen to me the other day. Like, I was just sitting there in the Nexus, like I just stopped to look on Twitter or something like that, and I had my headphones on, and then I just heard this massive, it sounds like a massive like roar, like rattling or a monster. And I was like, what the fuck? I ran around the Nexus. I was like, what the hell's going on? I couldn't find anything. So I don't know what the hell that is, or if that's supposed to be something else or just a random hint or something. And then also the fact that people are still trying to work out what their second game is, because now that we've had Demon Souls out, people are going back to that tweet from last year where Bluepoint said their Bluepoint's original tweet something like 2 games, or it basically sounded like they had 2 upcoming games. And of course, the first one turned out to be Demon Souls. Now people are trying to work out what the second one is. Metal Gear Solid.
It's Legends of Dragon.
Well, yes, it's Legends of Dragon. We better say that now. We don't want to get in trouble. Legends of Dragon. All right, so PlayStation Lifestyle says Valve says increasingly number of Steam users playing with controllers, especially PlayStation controllers. Valve recently announced that Steam's client beta has added support for PlayStation 5's DualSense. In an update, the company announced that all games using Steam Input API are now fully compatible with the controller, which includes full support for the LED, trackpad, rumble, and gyro features. Addressing its community, Valve revealed that growing number of Steam users are playing games with controllers, and PlayStation controllers have specifically experienced a high percentage of growth in usage. In some games, 60 to 90% of players are using controllers. I think the other thing that's interesting about this, so like Steam says currently supports over 200 input devices. The DualSense is already compatible with a number of games, including Death Stranding, No Man's Sky, Horizon Zero Dawn. That all makes sense. I think it's super interesting to think though, like since support's been added so quickly, then does that mean that if a game comes to PS5 that uses like full haptic feedback and everything, and then that game comes to PC and you choose to play it with your DualSense, will you still get access to the features, or will Sony block the full feature set unless you're playing it on PS5? You know what I mean?
I would assume number 2.
Because, like, what's a third-party thing that you, like Call of Duty, for example, I guess is the thing. You know, like let's say someone on PC decided to use Call of Duty with their DualSense on their PC. Would it use the full haptic feedback features? Yeah. I'm going to say agree and say no. I feel like it's kind of douchey move. It would be cool if it did, I guess. But yeah, Sony's more likely to go, nah, buy a fucking console. Buy a goddamn console. Kotaku writes, some current gen games are getting 120 frames per second support on Xbox Series X, but not PS5. Later this year, Rocket League will be getting an update that allows it to run at 120 frames per second on Xbox Series X and S. That same feature isn't coming to the game on PS5, however. Developer Psyonix said that doing so would require, quote, a full native port, unlike on Microsoft's next-gen consoles. Quote, enabling 120 mode on Xbox Series XS is a minor patch, but enabling it on PS5 requires a full native port due to how backwards compatibility is implemented on the console, and unfortunately wasn't possible due to our focus elsewhere, a spokesperson from Psyonix told Eurogamer. As a result, the Series X version of Rocket League will have performance mode that plays at 2688 by 1512 resolution. My favorite resolution, by the way. That's my favorite one. At 120 frames per second with HDI. It'll play at 1344 by 756 resolution on Xbox Series S. But the PS5 version will be limited to 4K at 60 via checkerboarding. This asymmetry has popped up a few times now, starting with EA announced its next-gen update for Star Wars Squadrons. If you choose performance, the game will run at 1440p at 120 frames per second and up to 2160p at 120 frames per second, respectively, the publisher announced earlier this month. PS5 version, meanwhile, will have better lighting, but otherwise run at the same resolution and frame rate as the PS4 Pro version. And of course, it's also come up with, in the past couple of weeks, that Call of Duty Warzone runs 120 frames per second on Xboxes, PS5 version locked at 60. Lots of people have been getting angry about this. I think this is a card that, as PlayStation gamers, unfortunately, we just have to deal with, because the reason Xbox is able to get all these updated features quite easily is because of all the work they put into their backwards compatibility ecosystem and how easy it is to have backwards compatibility games work on their system, whereas PlayStation, of course, has not put too much effort into that, and it just does not have the setup to enable these sorts of things. Like, unfortunately, in my opinion, it's not this. None of this is major deal breaker for anyone. This is just, I think, a thing that people are picking up to chuck around a console wars, because ultimately the amount of people who actually have 120 hertz TVs that are playing any of the above mentioned games in 120 frames per second is going to be such a small player base. Barely anyone has those TVs. And I also just think for the entirety of this console generation that the games running at 120 is going to be slim, bare none, and not really super important. So the fact that PlayStation still gets 4K 60, that's the one we care about. So I don't know. I was also interested to hear that they're updating Squadrons full stop, considering they every time they talked about the game, it sounded like they were kind of just
like, it's done. Yep, we just put it out.
We're fucking off to work on something else now. But the fact that they've patched in some new ships, they're patching in an update to visually improve the game somewhat for new consoles, so I was surprised by all that. Talking about feature sets that the Xbox has, the PlayStation doesn't, here's another one. So, Push Square, a PS5 firmware update will add VR support in the future. They write, it was on our list of top 10 things the PS5 needs to improve, and it looks like Sony's already poised to respond. An update on the official's console FAQ, as spotted by Reset Era, reveals that VR support will be added in a future firmware update. It's worth remembering that you will need a compatible television to take advantage of this, so keep that in mind. Quote, PS5 hardware supports VRR through HDMI 2.1. Yeah.
So to clarify, VRR is
variable rate.
Variable refresh rate. Yeah. Because you've been saying on a couple of times you've said VR.
Oh, sorry. I'm skipping it out. So yeah, variable refresh rate is like is something Xbox has been pushing a lot about their box. In fact, it's on the front of their box, and it's basically a back-end system that helps smooth out, I guess the easiest way to explain is it like helps smooth out frame rates. So like if a game is going, like so let's say a game has an uncapped frame rate and it's going to jump between 60 to 120 depending on what's happening in the game, VR is going to smooth out that entire process and not make it feel like you're jumping between double frame rates and you're fucking chippy all over the place. But again, it's another feature that will be be used by people who have these fucking, like there's literally 10 TVs that I think support this at the moment on market at launch. Maybe in a couple of years people have more of these TVs, but I looked it up at one stage prior to the consoles. I looked up all the TVs that that you could buy with HDMI 2.1 support, and it's such a small number. So as I write here, VRR or variable refresh rate, to give it its full title, is a highly anticipated feature because it allows compatible televisions to adjust their refresh rate based on the output of the game, meaning the stutters typically associated frame rate fluctuations can be largely eliminated. So it is cool. I'm glad it's cool that's coming, because that was something that a lot of people were like, why the fuck does Xbox have this and PlayStation not? It's weird. By the sounds of it, this is another thing I'm just going to chuck under. They probably were planning to have this at launch, and COVID slowed shit down. I think COVID affected the console launches more than either companies willing to say at this stage.
Admit, yeah.
Yeah. Like, the consoles are out, and for the most part, they've had pretty smooth launches. There's obviously bugs and hiccups that we've discussed about, but I think for the most part, been pretty smooth. But the fact they still have random stuff that still working on the back end, there's some, weird decisions with the UI that people want changed. Like, I still think that UI came together at the last second, and that's why we wasn't seeing it at all. It wasn't because Sony was hiding it. It was literally because the UI wasn't finished until pretty much up until launch. PlayStation Lifestyle writes, Sony says there's news to come in response to Microsoft's Gamepass. Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan has said the company's response to Microsoft's popular Gamepass will come in due course, but not right away. In an interview with TASS, TASS, Russian news agency, Ryan was specifically asked how Sony will respond to Gamepass, to which he said, quote, there's actually news to come, but just not today. We have PlayStation Now, which is our subscription service, and that is available in a number of markets. Back in September, Ryan said that a subscription model akin to Game Pass isn't sustainable and suggested that Sony has no plans to go down that route. Speaking to the games industry, Ryan explained that games are expensive to develop and it doesn't make sense to offer them as part of a subscription service. He added that such a model might work for other companies, but it doesn't align with Sony's vision, saying, for us, quote, for us, having a catalogue of games is not something that defines a platform. Our pitch, as you've heard, is new games, great games. We have had this conversation before. We're not going down the road of putting new releases into a subscription model. These games cost many millions of dollars, well over $100 million to develop. We just don't see that as sustainable. We want to make the games bigger and better and hopefully at some stage more persistent. So putting those into a subscription model on day one for us just doesn't make any sense. For others in a different situation, it might well make sense, but for us, it doesn't. So what do you reckon he means if he's saying there's news to come when talking about it?
I reckon PS Now is going to get expansion or a refresh or a facelift, and you'll be able to pay to play their backwards compatible games, which would technically make it almost on par with Xbox, because most of their Game Pass stuff is like backwards older stuff and the occasional indie.
I mean,
because they never release any games.
When their games come out, they're on there, I guess. And they got EA Play now.
Yeah, so. Once in a blue moon. Once they sacrifice a lamb and a duck, then they can release a game.
Wow, I don't know where he was going with that, but yeah, I would assume there has to be some sort of PlayStation Now. Surely it would make more sense if PlayStation Now is getting an offline or like a non-streaming version.
Well, that's what it has already. You can download the games.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I don't really keep up too much because we don't have it.
Yeah, I definitely. Well, I heard somebody else bring this up because a lot of people hadn't realized. Obviously. No.
Well, why would we in Australia
you can download the games? Yeah. Well, why would we in Australia when we don't have PS Now? So
yes, exactly.
But yeah, I would expect probably worldwide launch sometime in the next 12 months.
That makes sense. It's getting weirder to say that, like, we can't have PlayStation Now when Xbox is now testing xCloud in Australia, and at least in Melbourne, of all the people I saw testing it who lived in Melbourne with good internet, it was working well there. So at this stage, let's go back 100 episodes ago where I brought up that where I paid $10 million for access to that Adelaide news story or whatever the fuck it was.
Ooh, a funny story.
We need that to come back. Like, come on, that was for something, wasn't it? Well, that was.
Surely those people got hired to do something.
Yeah, they're hired to do not just fucking sit in the house and do nothing. Last of Us news, kinda. IGN writes that HBO has officially ordered a series based on the Last of Us video game franchise. HBO Executive Vice President of Programming Francesca Ori announced Friday, though a series based on Last of Us has been in discussion for some time now, Friday's announcement reconfirms HBO's intent on the show and attaches a few key names to the project. Writing the series are The Last of Us creative director Neil Druckmann and Chernobyl writer Craig Mazin. Druckmann will also be the executive producer alongside Cheryl Strasis of Chernobyl and Game of Thrones fame, as well as Naughty Dog president Evan Wells and PlayStation Productions Assad Quizzlebash and Carter Swan. HBO is partnering with Sony Pictures Television on the series with PlayStation Productions. Word Games and Naughty Dog are all co-producing. Quote, Craig and Neil are visionaries in their own league, said Orsi. With them at the helm alongside the incomparable Carolyn Strassis, the series is sure to resonate with both diehard fans of The Last of Us games and newcomers to this genre-defining saga. We're delighted to partner with Naughty Dog, Word Games, Sony and PlayStation to adapt this epic, powerful, and immersive story. So basically the big news between this and last time we talked about it is last time it was they were basically sitting down at a table to make a script, and now obviously I would say they've wrote at least the initial script, and HBO's looked at it and everyone fell in love with it and said, "Yep, full series order, go ahead." That's surely what this, that's what it means, right, Ash?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they'd be crazy not to. Well, then they've been crazy before. I mean, I believe, obviously, the latest Game of Thrones series that got a full series order before they shot anything. So who knows at this point? But yeah, I'm pretty sure they're pretty committed to the story, and I feel like they're backing Craig Mason to back up his Chernobyl work. Yeah. At worst, you get one whole season to put on HBO Max down the line.
But so for people who don't really keep up with TV or don't understand what the difference is between different sorts of shows and stuff, sometimes a TV production place or whatever will say do one episode and they'll film a pilot, and then that's what pilots are mostly for. So they'll film a pilot. Sometimes the pilot is then used as the first episode we see. Often it's actually not seen at all, and it's
like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, like Game of Thrones. And they shoot a pilot. They show it to. They give a smaller budget for the pilot, obviously usually, and they show it to the place like HBO, and they say, Game of Thrones, this looks great. Have a series order based off the pilot, and then they recast a bunch of people, get a more budget, and they shoot the same shit again but different with obviously a plan to do the full show, with better. So basically, them saying here's a full order for The Last of Us without them having shot anything. Maybe some casting decisions maybe we don't know about. Maybe they've actually recorded a like chemistry tests with people that we just don't know about yet, and based all on that age.
I mean, they could just be doing it purely on the IP and the script.
For sure.
But yeah, if Sony wants any casting ideas, we did a casting article back in March that you can check out.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't think Tatiana Maslany is going to be involved though, which was my pick for Tess.
No.
The rest of those are still available, so I think.
I think so, off memory, yeah. All right, the last piece of news, VR related. So I definitely felt like I had to bring this up because I've had such an up-down weird battle with PS5 and VR, and in a lot of ways I still blame Sony for just making it not very easy to understand what the fuck is going on with PSVR coming into PS5. But so 6axis wrote up a story saying PlayStation London studio has confirmed that if you have recently updated to its title Blood and Truth, then you're already prepared to experience the game on PS5. The latest update had added enhancements that will give improvements to Blood and Truth on PS5, with these including higher resolutions, increased frame rate of up to 90 frames per second, better detailed assets which will be present at all times, and improved texture details. The studio confirmed all of this via Twitter. When playing Blood and Truth on PS5, players will have access to all the content that is available on PS4. That content includes New Game Plus leaderboards, skeet shooting, hard mode, rhythm challenges, blah, 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 blah. So this is obviously interesting because up until this stage, as we were discussing, it sounded like when we were talking about Hitman, No Man's Sky, and all these other VR things, it sounded like it was just going to be really hard to play PSVR games on PS5, and a lot of the initial reports from whose review did I read? Upload VRs, I think, in that initial wave of pre-launch, pre-public PS5 launch, they did a bunch of PSVR testings, and they said a couple second improved loading time on some games, but otherwise, it's not exciting. Like it wasn't like a big, like none of the games they tested had like major improvements, like a lot of backwards compatible PS4 titles or whatever. Like it wasn't having the same effect. But now it seems if the studios choose so, they can update and make the games play slightly better on PS5. Obviously, there is a barrier here because it's still the same PSVR headset. It's still the same screen within the headset and whatever else. So you can only push the technology and improvements so far. But it does make me hope for Iron Man improvements because I'd love those load times to be cut down and other things like that. But at least we know it's going to get some updates for some stuff, like maybe all the first party stuff.
Yeah, hopefully all the first party stuff make it faster and better and that kind of stuff. Obviously, it's where the third party support is
probably just not going to happen.
But you would think they would, especially for games that are about to release.
Yeah.
Specifically Hitman, they would make it as easy possible, especially when PSVR was one of the major selling points in that initial release trailer. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I know it's still very weird, the whole thing. So I don't know. But yeah, it would be great if like even Astro's Bot Rescue Mission got some patches because I remember wanting to get the platinum, but the thing that annoyed me is the time trials or whatever. There was long load times every time I restarted or died or whatever, and that just made it frustrating. Like, compare that to doing the time trials in Astro's Playroom, where obviously if you die or restart, you're back at the start
reload pretty quick.
A second, and it's like 3, 2, 1, go. Doing them in the VR one, it was like, oh, I died.
Can I just say, I've seen videos of people doing those. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because it's one of those things where obviously I did them, got the platinum, was like, cool, delete the game. I kind of love how people.
You didn't get the extra trophies, or did you?
No, I got all those. Yeah. For the trials. Yeah. So I did the beat all of the trials.
Everything under 7 minutes.
Yeah, whatever you needed to do. Yeah. But I love that some people have loved those time trials so much that they keep coming back to them, because obviously it pops up in activities like, oh, so-and-so's beat the score. I'm like, I don't care. I don't need to go back to that game to try and beat other people's scores. But I love how people have got so attached to that. But that kind of just backs up the whole idea of how cool it would be to see a full, bigger, longer Astro Playroom title with more levels for speed running that people would obviously get 100% into. But yeah. And do a sequel in VR as well while we're at it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Which one would you want more? Which one is required first?
Hold on, let me put it this way. Right, let's boil it down. If there's not a PSVR 2, I would rather just
wait.
PS5 version. If they put out a PSVR 2, they should launch it with Astro. Like a new Astro game. Should launch alongside PSVR 2. That's what I think. If they made an Astro Rescue Mission 2 for the first PSVR headset, no. I need that technology to catch up a little bit. Like, see, I have a lot of problems more so because obviously I have Oculus, and if I go back to PSVR, it's obviously just a lot more noticeable about the load times, graphical improvements, like the overall resolution, frame rate, refresh rate of the headset. These sorts of things like stand out. So anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Don't forget you can head on over to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter to find out all about Twitter. Come talk to us on Discord. explosionnetwork.com/Discord will take you to an invite to join our Discord. You can email us, mail@explosionnetwork.com, subject line Platinum Explosion if you'd like to. Then go look up how to cheese Demon Souls if you really want to do that. Until next week, remember that every trophy counts. Mayonnaise, Demon Souls, whatever do we need to? Spider-Man, all of them. They're all great.
Get that Spider-Man plate. Yeah. You earned it already.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.